Hey guys, in this video what I'm going to show you to do is how to do a quick color grade in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now this will just be the basics, and yeah, you can use color grading in your video footage just to enhance the looks of a clip, to make it look a bit more exciting, make the colors more vibrant or saturated or even more dull in certain cases. So I'm going to use this clip here. What you need to do is, first of all, select the clip, make sure your timeline's on the arrowhead so you can see it, and let's choose color from up the top here, and this will change our workspace into our color grading setup. Alright, so over the side here we've got 6 tabs: Basic, Creative, Curves, Color Wheels, HSL Secondary, and Vignette. I'm only going to take you through the basics of this, of a few of the options in here. But what you should first do is, if you go into Basic Correction, I might just move my clip back to the start a little bit. You'll see there's a white balance part here. Grab the eyedropper and choose the whitest white in the clip that you can see. I might just go maybe about here. Alright, and what that will do is mine didn't do anything, but sometimes it does. It just adjusts your whites so that they're a nice colour. So that's all you need to do there. The second thing you should do is go into your curves and make sure that the white is selected. This will affect the red, green, and the blue colours in the clip. And put a spot there, and what we'll do is just move the top one up a bit, and what that's going to do, it's going to increase the exposure of the image, so it'll make the brights a bit brighter, and then bring this one down, and that'll do the opposite, that'll darken it slightly. So what you want to do is you want to create an S curve like this. Okay, now when you're color grading, you just want to be making little adjustments and little corrections. You don't want to be going too much like this, because that just looks stupid. Okay, right, let's get out of curves. Let's go back into basic correction. Now in basic correction, what you can do is you can adjust the temperature. If you want your footage to be a bit cooler, you can move it to the left, or a bit warmer, you could move it to the right where the oranges are. And again, don't go too far because it just makes it way too orange. If you ever want to reset these, just double click and it will reset it. I might go for more of a warmer look in mine. The green and the purples, you can do the same thing if you want to add a little bit of purple or a little bit of green into your footage. And it just depends on what you think kind of looks good. As long as you don't overdo it, you can't really go wrong. Alright, now down here, the next one, we can play with the exposure. The exposure is just like a photograph. If you overexpose an image, it's too bright. If you underexpose a photo, it's too dark. So if you think your footage could use a bit more light in it, add it to the right or to the left. I'm gonna brighten mine up a little bit. Okay, contrast is, if you move it to the right, it'll add higher contrast, so more darks and more light areas. And if you move it to the left, it will take out the darker and lighter areas and make them more lighter, so that it becomes a bit more flatter. I like to add some contrast, so I'll just start moving that in a little spot to the right a bit. I might just, depending on the shadows, I might just up them a little bit, down the shadows, up the whites, down the blacks, to create a kind of a contrasty image. Now I'm doing this quite quickly. You could spend hours doing this. Right down the bottom here, you could increase the saturation of the overall colours by moving it up, make the colours more colourful or vibrant. Or you could take the colour out, and if you go all the way down the end, you'll be left with a black and white image. There's no saturation in there. I might actually take a little bit of it out, because I think that kind of looks a bit cool. It starts to look a bit more retro when you take some of the colour out. Alright, finished in basic. Let's go to creative and have a look what's in here. Look, you could play around with the shadow tints and the highlight tints. So the shadows, if I want my shadows to be a bit bluey, I could click here. Alright, and again, not too much, because it's going to make it look a bit silly. And again, usually what you do to the shadows, you would probably do the opposite to the highlights. So if I've made my shadows a bit bluer, I might make my highlights a little bit orangey. That's kind of, if you ever want to reset, just double click and that'll reset them. Okay, I'm not going to touch those, I'm going to leave those. Let's get rid of that tab. Wait a minute, if I scroll up, creative, curves. In curves, you can also use this color wheel here to adjust individual colors. So if you choose blue, for example, there's a lot of blue in this image, I might click here and I'll get 3 dots that come up here. If I want to increase the blue or make it a bit more saturated, I can pull that up. I can also pull this one up, and you can see it's changing the colors of the blue. If I want to take just the color blue out, I can drop that right down, and that one right down too, and you can see even that one, that all the blue's taken out of the image, actually all the colors taken out of the image. If I left that last one up there, now we've just got the blues taken out. Alright, so that, and the rest is black and white. So that, double click to reset it to normal. We've probably got some oranges in there. You can always add these spots as you need them as well. So if I wanted to play around with the color of the bricks or the gun, you can see that I'm now able to do that with that dot spot there. Okay, I could even. Alright, so really, I'll undo that. It's just up to you to play around with. Let's get out of curves. Color wheels, you could muck around with that. That's for another time. You could muck around with that as well. And you could add a vignette, which is just a circle around the image, a coloured circle. If I move the amount to the right, it's a white vignette. If I move it to the left, it's a dark vignette. Alright, so I quite like that, and I might you could make it a little bit more round or less round. Okay, I'm going to leave that, and I might just add some feathering, which will soften the edges to it, or I could take all the feathering out so that the edges are really hard. Alright, but that looks pretty ordinary, so I'm going to soften the edges just like that, just so we get this little effect. Now you can use the arrows, the ticks here, to hide the vignette and show it. Okay, we also used curves, so I could untick that to hide the effect, and you can see the difference with curves on and off, and the basic correction, same thing. That's with it off, and that's with it on. Okay, you could take them all off curves. I think I did something in creative, and then we've got our original color like that. Alright, so yeah, like I said, you could spend hours and hours doing that. It's just up to you to muck around with, and if you think it looks good, it probably does. What you can do is, say I want to use this same color on another clip. What you can now do is, if you go into effect controls over here, and if you can't see it, just choose it from here. Make sure the clip is selected, and you'll notice in our effects we've got lumetri color. Copy that, Command C, and go to another clip like this one, for example, and if I select the clip and hold and press Command V for paste, that will put that color grade straight on top of this other clip. And again, you can adjust as you see necessary. Okay, now I hope that wasn't too long, but yeah, like I said, you could spend hours and hours color grading your footage. Okay.